What's so special at WagerTalk that only happens twice per year? It's the WagerTalk $199 30-day all-access special. Why is this $199 special even bigger? This $199 special starts Sunday, August 15th throughout Monday, September 13th. But by signing up now, you'll receive every play through Sunday, August 15th as a free bonus. Does this $199 package include football? Yes, of course it does. As with every all-access package, you receive every play that your favorite capper releases. That includes the NFL preseason, college football through week 2, NFL week 1, MLB action, plus any CFL, KBO, soccer, UFC, or golf that your favorite handicapper releases. Every play, every sport, all for 30 days and all for just $199. If you have never tried a 30-day all-access package at under $7 per day, including football, what are you waiting for?
Tuesday, August 10th. Although I may sound like the Prez, I'm much better looking, and this is not the Prez. Steve Merrill filling in for the Prez today on Tuesday, August 10th. Wager Talk Today. And that, of course, is Teddy Covers, as always, the man, the myth, the legend. Here on a Tuesday, got a little baseball, got a little NFL just 2 days away as the full preseason begins later this week. College football less than 3 weeks away. Got a good show today, Teddy. We've got Rob Veno, who's the $2 capper, by the way, at WagerTalk.com. Rob is number one in Major League Baseball over the past month, and he has a strong MLB best bet for just $2 today at WagerTalk.com. Go look at some baseball and also another college football future with Rob in just a few minutes. Also, Dave Sharapan from Las Vegas to talk about the sports books and the odds makers. But, Teddy, before we do so, I know what you learned last night because I learned it as well. There might have only been there were only 5 games. One got rained out. So there's only 4 baseball games last night. But we had probably one of the worst bad beats or fortunate beats, depending on which side you're on, in MLB history. That's got to be the lead, I would think, coming into Tuesday. Yankees-Royals last night, Teddy. Just crazy.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an all-timer. And again, my clients and I cashed first 5 innings under in that ballgame. 0-0 after 5, 0-0 after 6. So 0-0 into the 7th. All right. Doesn't matter what you had when it came to the under. How about under 29 runs, hits, and errors in that ballgame? All right. Both teams score 1 in the 7th. Both teams score 1 in the 8th. Both teams score 1 in the 9th. Both teams score 2 in the 10th. That's the death for under bettors. And then the Yankees get 3 in the 11th. And KC actually rallies back to get 1 and has the tying run on base and the winning run at home plate, but couldn't get it home at the end. If you had under for full game, and again, I had first 5 under for the clients, and if nothing doesn't get any easier than that. But for full game under bettors, that's brutal. Royals plus 1.5 bettors, that's brutal. And when you see some of the all-time stuff, okay, no team, Kansas City became the first team since 1900 to erase a deficit in the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th innings in a game. In the last 100 years, only 2 teams had scored at least 1 run in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and then 2 did it last night. So when you talk about all-timers, yeah, you had KC and the Yankees under. You had the total run, hits, and errors under. That's an all-timer. You're allowed to be pissed off because that was pretty rough. You had under with the Yankees and the Royals, or the Royals plus 1.5, or whatever the heck you had in that game. That was truly the bad beat of the year so far in MLB.
Yeah, and to make it even crazier, Teddy, is that over-under was 10 all day, and it moved to 9.5 about an hour before the game. And after the 10th inning, it was sitting on 10-5-5, as you said. So once again, it was right on that opening closing line difference until they had the crazy 11. So basically everything that could occur happened. My big takeaway, though, is obviously Yogi Berra, great Yankee. It ain't over till it's over. But as you said, first 5 inning versus full game, I actually had the over. I benefited from it. We always talk about bad beats. There's always another side to it, and we always forget the fortunate wins. However, we both cashed in that game because you liked first 5 under. Rob Veno was on John Ryan's show yesterday. They also talked about that. In fact, John Ryan liked first 5 under, and then he liked in-game over after that. So he cashed both. And, it does show sometimes if you like the under, the first 5s are a little safer. You take that uncertainty of the bullpen out. If you like the overs, I prefer to have the uncertainty. And then, of course, extra innings. First time in history the last couple of years, they've been putting a runner on second at the start of each inning. That does add to some extra runs now in those extra innings. So it's not a complete fluke that we saw that happen last night. Just crazy to me, though, Teddy, that on a day when we only had 4 baseball games that we get something monumental like that. It just shows even on the quiet days, it can get noisy. Any other takes on that? Any other games last night? Big picture takeaways?
I was trying to think of the very worst beats I've ever seen. Because last night's game comes down with the the worst of the worst. And there was 2 that stood out to me that I was just off the top of my head. Of course, they're games that you're on, so you remember them. The one was forget who it was. The Rangers and the Indians. It was nothing into the 14th. The total in that game was 10.5. Wow. Nothing into the 14th. And they score 5 in the top of the 14th and 5 in the bottom of the 14th, and your under's dead. That was as bad a beat as I can ever recall. And then you remember that snow game with the Eagles and the Lions, and there was like 2 feet of snow, and the total got bet from 54 down to 46. And I think it was it nothing at halftime or 3-0 at halftime. In the second half, every defender just got tired, and there was kickoff return touchdowns and punt return touchdowns, and ended up getting over the total in a game that had no offense whatsoever. Those are 2 that stand out to me, Steve. But when you have these, they'll stick in your head. It'll burn right in your brain for a long, long time. If you had the under night for the full game in Yankees and Royals. I do want to talk about one of the things. That's obviously the main story from last night. But in terms of what did bettors learn, I want to talk about this because I came out yesterday, gave it a big game breakdown in support of the Minnesota Twins as a dog against the White Sox, and it was dead wrong. 7-0 by the second inning. At least it wasn't a sweat, to sweat them last night. Wrong side loser. I would rather many times have a wrong side loser than have a beat like you took last night if you had the Yankees Royals full game unders. Wrong sides are going to happen. Okay. Doesn't cost you more than a right side that goes wrong at the end. It's 1 unit. It's 1 bet. It is what it is. Wrong sides will happen. Nobody likes them. They're never any fun. But hopefully you don't have them every night. Hopefully you don't have them every week in football. But we don't want to ever overreact to being dead wrong once in a while. It happens. Happens to me, Steve. Happens to you. Happens to Rob Veno. Happens to all of you out there in viewer and listener land. When you're wrong, sometimes it happens. You chalk it up. Say, all right, well, let's see if I can get a better opinion today. And the beauty of this business, of course, every day, it doesn't matter what you did yesterday, Steve. Starting out today, 0-0.
Yeah, and I'll close out with my takeaway in all of this. It's something that gets overlooked. I harp about it all the time on these shows and also on the financial shows that I do, is that a lot of this is just quirky statistical fluctuations, and people vastly in all of life, even financials, politics, sports, whatever you want, health, people vastly overreact to statistical fluctuations and they read stuff in when it's not there. I just quickly did the math. You go back to 1900, just say that every team plays 162 games. I know that's not the exact math, but there's been over 240,000 baseball games in the last 100 plus years. And last night, like you said, was the first time several different weird things happened. So that's a 1 in 240,000 chance it happened last night, So you have to look at things as just one-off unicorns sometimes and not read too much into them. And as handicappers, we can have a 55 to 60% edge on every play. That means automatically there's a 40 to 45% chance we're going to lose every play. And people don't like to hear that. And that sounds very high. If you told somebody you're going to lose 40 to 45% of the time, they'd be like, man, you're awful. That's a professional long-term winner right there. So it's the same thing in baseball. 300 hitter, you're in the Hall of Fame. You're out 7 out of 10 times. 70% of the time you fail. So I think people have to sometimes step away, see the forest from the trees. And that's what drives me crazy. But that also is, again, why a lot of people are daily short-term thinkers. You, Teddy, and myself and Rob Veno, we're long-term thinkers, long-term investors when it comes to sports bet. You can't let a one-off like last night get you too high or too low. Hey, speaking of winning, though, Rob Veno, were you involved in that game last night, first of all? And second of all, if you were, you probably won because you've been red hot in baseball, the number one capper over the past month at WagerTalk.com. Rob, what were your closing thoughts on that Yankee Royal? I don't like the word epic. I think it's overused, but that was an epic game last night. Epic result.
Yeah, well, I had both ends of what you guys were talking about there. I did have Royals Yankees under 5.5 first 5, under 5.5 first 5. Like Teddy said, nothing. It was an easy winner. On the John Ryan show that you mentioned, Steve, Tony Finn and I were guests yesterday, and you know how he goes around the horn at the end for best bets, and I gave him Royals under 5.5. First 5 is my best bet. And Tony comes back with, I'm going to play contrarian with you. He had over 9.5 full game. So John, of course, in his infinite wisdom, is thinking about how he can get both of these home. And he comes up with a pre-flop, and you know how he figures these things. And during the game, I saw him post on Twitter that when it was 0-0, total was down to 3.5. And he was advising everybody to go play it now over 3.5. Well, as luck would have it, I win, Tony wins, John wins, everybody wins. But on the other side of that coin, where we're all going to have hideously wrong plays, I was on Cincinnati first 5 last night. That was not even close. Luis Castillo got destroyed. I think that was 8-1 or 8-2 Cleveland after 5 innings. So I'm with Teddy. You'd rather lose like that. I could shut that thing off after the 3rd inning and not be bothered with it, rather than have to sweat out the Royals Yankees, 12 innings or whatever it was. So yeah, I had both ends of those things last night. One good, one bad.
Yeah, once again, you can see the John Ryan show that Rob's talking about, 4 o'clock Eastern predictive playbook. Check John's Twitter page, or Rob Veno, Tony Finn. I made a quick cameo yesterday, and I'll also be, by the way, doing our weekly financial show here at 1 o'clock Eastern today with John, talking Bitcoin, crude oil. We've had some trades. We have a $50,000 trading account, and we're like 4 out of 5 so far in the first week on those trades. Some of them up 10, 20% already. Predictive playbook on YouTube with John Ryan from sportsmemo.com. Rob, I got to talk about your Philadelphia Phillies and your LA Dodgers. I know you're conflicted in this one because you root for the Dodgers, but you go to the Philly games. Can't lose, can't win. Your Phillies, though, now 2 games ahead in the NL East. They're pulling away, my man. Atlanta Braves are now in 2nd place, as we thought. They're plus 65 on the season run differential. Phillies are -5. They've almost broken even. Mets are now minus 18. They're fading. DeGrom injured, not looking good. But the Dodgers, of course, still 4 games back in the West. They do have the best run differential in all of baseball, though, plus 171, yet still 4 games out. How do you see this one playing out? Good pitching matchup, by the way. I'm going to be on MLB First Pitch in an hour and a half today here on WagerTalk TV. We're going to talk about this game in depth. But Rob, as a Philly Dodger fan, what's your take on this one tonight?
Yeah, first off, my take on you, Steve Merrill, is that you've become a social media influencer. I don't know if you carry the blue check mark or not, but I go on Twitter and people are, giving me the Phillies as my team. Stop it, please. I live in the area. The Phillies are not my team. I find their fan base amusing at times. They're very passionate. But the Dodgers I have rooted for since I was a little kid. My father forced that on me. He's a Brooklyn Dodger guy, so I was a Dodger kid. I played this one under first 5, guys, under 4.5 runs. Here's a little bit of juice to lay, I think 15 or 20 cents with that particular bet. But if I start with the starting pitchers and how they've thrown against these opposing rosters, really good numbers here. I mean, the Phillies combined, the guys who could come to the plate tonight against Max Scherzer are hitting 190. Batting average overall, 265 on base percentage, 376 slugging, not good numbers. Advantage to Max Scherzer. He has had trouble with 3 lefties in this lineup. Brad Miller, Bryce Harper, Odubel Herrera. All have hit him fairly decently. So if you're looking for the Phils tonight, you want one of those 3 guys because the rest of that lineup, 15 of 129 for a 116 batting average against Scherzer. If I turn the tables real quick and give you the numbers against Aaron Nola that the Dodgers have posted, they're even worse. Dodgers 189 as a unit, career batting average against Aaron Nola, 222 on base, 263 slugging. Trey Turner, the ex-Washington National, who the Dodgers just acquired, is the guy, obviously, that has faced Nola the most coming from the NL East, only hitting 184 against Aaron Nola. So I like the starting pitching matchup over the course of the first 5. That's part of the play here toward the under. Another piece of that is Aaron Nola's home road discrepancy. It just continues on. Aaron Nola's been very good at home. It makes no sense that you would pitch far better in a hitter-friendly park than you would in some of these road parks, but he has. He's 4-2 at home, 3.18 ERA, 1.00 WHIP, collectively a 223 batting average against him at the bank. Those are good numbers for him. The Phillies offense, they swept the weekend series, against the Mets. And they've gotten a lot of accolades for it. They're in first place now, but they didn't do much offensively, guys. A 3-game series, that offense goes 21 for 90. I mean, the Mets were just worse offensively than Philadelphia was. Philly hit 233 against the Met pitching. .258 on base percentage. In all three of those games, the total was either 2, 3, or 4 after 5 innings. I think the starting pitching matchup works here. Both of these lineups going to have a little bit of difficulty hitting early. I'm going to take the Dodgers Phillies under 4.5 first 5 innings.
So I certainly can't argue with your support of either one of these two starting pitchers. They've both been very good, and the track records are great. My concern about the play, and my question for you, Rob, has to do with the fact that both of these lineups, we talked about the Phillies' struggles against the Mets. Yeah, and yet when all's said and done, the Phillies have scored 5 or more 6 times their last 8 games. So have the Dodgers. Both these lineups in pretty darn good current form, and every quote coming out of the Phillies locker room about their lineup is talking about we're grinding, we're taking good at bats, we are confident offensively. Does the fact that both of these two teams are in pretty good offensive form concern you at all for this one, especially in a hitter's ballpark like Citizens Bank?
Yeah, and Teddy, you come on these shows and you give your analysis and you give all the pros to your analysis. That doesn't mean that there aren't a couple of cons to it
Sure.
as well. And obviously, I look at them all. The concern here would be it's an August night in Citizens Bank. If you get the ball up in the air, it could go over the wall in that park. However, Max Scherzer has thrown against this team plenty of times in summer weather, and Philadelphia has not gotten to him. So I, weighed that a little heavier than I did the potential of a currently, high run producing Philadelphia Phillies squad. Some of that has to do with walks and errors and whatnot. But and the Dodgers can be tamed as well. These statistical numbers that I quoted are not small sample size by any means of either pitcher. They're rather large sample size. So obviously Nola's pitched a little bit in LA against the Dodgers, but I think this one stays under. I don't think either pitcher will give up the long ball. If they do, if it's anything other than a solo, maybe I'm in trouble, but I'll stick with under 4.5 here.
Once again, Rob likes under 4.5 first inning for Phillies and Dodgers. And what's interesting, that full game is 8.5. You got 2 good starting pitchers on the mound, yet you're getting 4.5 still, which is a true number per inning, basically. So you would think they would tilt that a little bit lower. So 4.5 under, and as we saw last night, guys, in that Yankee game, the first 5 unders are some signs of safer play and taking the bullpens out of the equation. Going to get to one more baseball game, and then Rob's got a college football future once again for us. Don't forget, Rob Veno is the $2 capper at WagerTalk.com. It's quite simple. You get the number 1 ranked baseball capper over the past month for just $2 for his best bet tonight on Tuesday. Rob Veno, $2 Tuesday, WagerTalk.com. By the way, Joe Esposito in the chat says the Phillies will not hold on to this lead. David Garay says, Rob, Steve, Teddy, you're the best. But he gives us American flags in there, which is just fantastic. And we have a new one. I haven't seen Pittsburgh Brew is in the chat room. I don't think I've seen Pittsburgh Brew before. That's a pretty damn good name. It's no Toasty Sam's, Rob Veno's personal favorite, but Pittsburgh Brew is pretty good. Rob, let's get to one of the worst teams in baseball who is not playing like one of the worst teams in baseball. Actually, 2 of them. Johnny Detroit's Detroit Tigers and my former Baltimore Orioles when I grew up before we had the Nationals. The Orioles still have been competitive at times this year, even though they have some of the worst win-loss records in baseball all season. Tigers have been very good over the past month. They've been beaten up on weaker teams, though. I guess the Orioles would still qualify. What's your take on this one? Detroit Tigers, Baltimore Orioles tonight on Tuesday. Baltimore, a slight home dog, about $1.10 home dog right now at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and I played the road favorite here. I played Detroit, Steve. I thought that there were advantages both in starting and bullpen pitching here in this game. Obviously, Casey Mize against Keegan Aiken. The numbers tell you all you have to need to know about each of these 2 guys as far as who's got the advantage is concerned. Casey Mize actually threw against the Orioles 12 days ago, went 7 innings, did not allow an earned run, only allowed 6 base runners in that particular game. So tamed the Oriole lineup pretty good. And remember, the discrepancy in the Orioles offense between facing left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching is real. It's been real all season long. There's 106 percentage points difference in OPS between what the Orioles do versus lefties and what they do versus righties. Versus righties, they rank 29th in Major League Baseball in OPS. So their offense against the righty, another thing that we play against in this one. When Keegan Aiken has taken the hill this year, guys, the Orioles are 1-14. I mean, if nothing else, it's a reason to bet against the Orioles. That's a pretty strong number right there. The Tigers, although they're a sub-500 team and they're out of playoff contention, they're still playing hard for an achievable goal. They're only 3 games behind Cleveland for second place in the AL Central. And for the Tigers, under first-year manager A.J. Hinch, to make that kind of turnaround and maybe get to second place would be huge for this team. So they played hard consistently. I think they'll play hard here. Something to look for where milestones are concerned. Miguel Cabrera enters the game just 2 home runs away from 500, facing a lefty tonight. The potential for one of those, maybe 2, always exists with Miguel Cabrera. Detroit against left-handed pitching this year, believe it or not, they're over 500, 19-17 against left-handed starters. Again, Baltimore just miserable against righties, 23-46. I like the Tigers in the small price here. Just think the starting pitching and bullpen pitching angles are too much to overcome, and especially where the Baltimore offense versus right-handers is concerned.
So I want to ask you, Rob, because Keenan Aiken, whose name I botched, Keenan Aiken was on the COVID list, and then he came back and threw 3 innings of scoreless ball against the Yankees, just mowed them down in his last outing. And the quotes coming from Baltimore after that, Carlos, I love the way he was really aggressive. I like the secondary stuff tonight. Thought he pitched really well. He had his tempo back. He went the majority of the stretch and really had a nice tempo going. Obviously, he's the guy that doesn't have much of a track record this season. But I always look at the guys who struggle and continue to get opportunities because, there's something there that the team or the organization is seeing that we may not be seeing yet. Is there any upside for Aiken moving forward? Is there a chance this guy turns out to be a decent starter for Baltimore?
Oh, I think there's always a chance, Teddy. They don't put guys on the hill for no reason. I think obviously Baltimore's going through this youth overhaul, and they're putting young guys out there, and they're going to take their lumps as they come until they get more seasoned in Major League Baseball and get a better feel of the hitters that they face. In this case, I would much rather play the overall numbers of Keegan Aiken than I would the one-off most recent outing. Now, if he continues to be good currently, and again, there's times during the season, just so the listeners know, where current form is much better than overall form. Obviously, Keegan Aiken, a guy who doesn't make it more than 5 innings in any game. I think he's made it twice in 15 times this season through 5 innings, which means you're going to get this bullpen, which has turned into an unmitigated disaster the last 2 weeks. You're going to get them for 4, maybe more. So it's not all Keegan Aiken here that you're betting against. Starting pitching and the bullpen combined, I think Detroit has enough hitters. And if Casey Mize can do what he did 12 days ago against this lineup, should be fine here. So I'll play Detroit minus a small price.
Once again, Rob Veno likes the Tigers as a small road favorite tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. At Baltimore also likes under in the first 5 between the Dodgers and Phillies. His LA Dodgers, not his Philadelphia Phillies this evening as well. Going to get to some college football in a moment. And Rob is a college football expert. Rob's been doing preview videos with Drew Martin here on WagerTalk TV the past few weeks for different conferences. He's a college football expert, but he's also a baseball expert. He's number 1 over the past month with a 50-28 MLB record, over a 61% return on investment in the past month. And you get his strongest best bet for Tuesday night for just $2 because it's $2 Tuesday right now at WagerTalk.com. By the way, JM Sports $2 Tuesday at SportsMemo.com. He's on a mere 13-0 baseball run. Get his top best bet for $2. JM Sports, SportsMemo.com. Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. Rob, let's transition over to football. Going to look at a Pac-12 over-under season win for the Arizona Wildcats. This is a team that's never won under their current head coach. They've also never played a game for him. Jed Fish in his first year. Arizona, really hit hard last year, as was the Pac-12. Limited schedule for all these teams. They went 0-5, 1-4 against the spread. They covered their opener against USC, did not cover the final 4 games. Tough season, new coaching staff. Very low season win total, though. It's obviously priced in at 2.5. Can they sneak to a 3-9 record? They open with BYU, San Diego State, Northern Arizona, and then it's 9 straight Pac-12 games after that. What are your thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, I like them under, Steve, under the 2.5. You can catch some, some plus 110s out there still. Even money is out there as well. But, and let me preface this by saying this, obviously I've done my handicapping on this team, but some of my anti-Jed Fish bias may be baked into my play here. Jed Fish, the new head coach of the Arizona Wildcats here. It's a complete, there's change of systems and then there's system overhauls. And this is a complete and total system overhaul. You have what you had under Kevin Sumlin, that up-tempo spread for the past 3-4 years, and now you get a pro-style stand under center. 35% of the snaps are going to be taken under center, according to head coach Fish this year. His system, guys, in college, I go back to when he coached Minnesota, is very, very complex. It takes a long time to learn. Never mind having personnel that's fitted to running an up-tempo spread. Now you're teaching an NFL style with 2 tight ends. So I think that's going to be tough for Arizona to get right. In fact, coming out of spring practices, some of the players quoted talked about how difficult the playbook is. You've got new offensive coordinator, Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son, and Don Brown, the defensive coordinator who came over from Michigan. He's going to revamp the defense going from 3-4 to 4-3. But, sometimes defense is easier when you simplify stuff. I just think that these system changes are too much to overcome. Certainly, they're not going to win the first 2 games against BYU and San Diego State while they're learning on the fly. They may get the Northern Arizona game. The next question is, can they get another one? And I'm not sure they can. There's only 2 in vision as I look at the schedule. Perhaps home against California, perhaps on the road against Colorado. I think it works out that way. It may be vice versa, but those are the 2 that are possible. Otherwise, I don't see another win in their future, and they need them both to get to 3. So I'm going to play under 2.5 here, especially when I saw the plus 110. Arizona, under 2.5 wins, plus 110. If you can only get even money, that's fine as well.
And of course, BYU. I heard multiple people talk about BYU as the team that lost the most from last year, a team that's clearly takes 6 steps back from where they were a year ago. And you look at the week 1 point spread, BYU, 11.5-point road favorites at Arizona, which is telling us right now where the Arizona Wildcats are coming into the season. Rob Veno, great stuff. What do you have to promote? What do you have going as the $2 Tuesday handicapper today?
Well, let's promote this, Teddy, the $2 play up and available at WagerTalk.com. Certainly, it's been a good run, 50-28 over the past 30 days, as Steve mentioned. So we'll look to continue that here tonight. Additional baseball plays will come later. There is a free play also up and available right now. If you go to my homepage at WagerTalk.com, you can get a look at the free play. So that's baseball's up and NFL preseason about to go up this afternoon. As you know, Teddy, talk about it all the time. It's an information game during the preseason, and information has leaked out over the course of the last 24 hours here. That's playable information. So we're going to get a couple of those up as well. Once again, go to WagerTalk.com. And by the way, real quick here, Drew and I, Steve, you mentioned the college football previews. Drew Martin and I will be doing the Pac-12 this afternoon. We take a look at both divisions, North and South, give you a couple teams to fade, a couple teams to bet on, overlook at some of the changes, coaching, and impact transfers. So once again, you can find that on Wager Talk TV.
And once again, all the previous episodes the last couple of weeks that Drew and Rob have done are archived right here on Wager Talk TV on the YouTube channel, as always. Rob, thank you. Best of luck tonight with $2 Tuesday on a mere 50-28 baseball run over the past month. Number 1 at WagerTalk.com. Get Rob's top baseball best bet for $2 tonight on Tuesday. And check out Rob and Tony Finn on John Ryan's show later this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern on YouTube on the Predictive Playbook. Check their Twitter handles for more information. Rob, best of luck, my man. We will talk to you again soon. Hey, speaking of the NFL preseason, Teddy Covers pulling you out of the bullpen onto the pitching mound to talk football. I'm confusing myself. Big game breakdown, 20 seconds after the break here, NFL preseason style.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. And let's talk a little NFL preseason football. We got to have football on every show. And of course, the game, I like to give you guys actual info for tonight. This one doesn't go until Friday, but I had to sneak some football, some NFL preseason into the show for today. And this is one where basically the concept is I want this particular coach in August. And he's not a guy who's getting a whole lot of love. Everyone talks about Mike Zimmer's track record in August. Everyone talks about John Harbaugh's track record in August. People aren't yet talking about Sean McDermott's track record in August because when McDermott got in Buffalo, it wasn't that good. Well, in his last 7 preseason games, the Bills 6-1 straight ups, 6-1 against the spread. In their last preseason, 2019, the Bills 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. How's Buffalo doing? It's not about a great QB rotation necessarily. I mean, we will see. I expect to see plenty of Mitch Trubisky in this ballgame. And for August, Mitch Trubisky is a bet on quarterback against second and third string defenders. The guys who've been starters who are now playing backup roles against backup defenders. Yeah, well, I don't want Trubisky. I don't want the Bills that Trubisky starts a regular season game. In the preseason, he's the type of QB that we want. All right, so we have a head coach who we want. We have the type of QB that we want. We have the track record that we're looking for. We have the quality depth, and maybe that has more to do with it than anything. McDermott's Bills teams are deep, plain and simple. The Lions aren't. And the quotes from Dan Campbell, we're a new staff, new players, everything. I expect to see it to somewhat of I expect the learning curve to be legitimate in Detroit. I expect it to be fairly steep, and they may get better as the preseason progresses. But week 1 of the preseason, this is the wrong team for the Lions to play. Give me the Bills on the money line. Again, in this point spread range in August, we're never laying 2. I'll always lay the -130 here, -130 widely available with the Bills. But that's the way we'll look for Friday night. Look for Buffalo to spoil Dan Campbell's NFL coaching debut, preseason style, in Detroit. Give me the Bills on the money line. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
And that, of course, is Friday night the 13th. Friday the 13th, Teddy. We thought we saw some crazy stuff last night on Monday. Well, we got 3 NFL preseason games this Friday in baseball. What could happen? Hey, look, I love it. I went to school with McDermott. I've known him for almost 30 years now. And one thing I'll tell you about Sean McDermott is not only does he work hard, but he is an intense individual. So it makes a lot of sense that guys like that want to win in the preseason. He was an all-state wrestler in Pennsylvania. He was a walk-on here at William & Mary and became team captain in the secondary by his senior year. We were both a couple years younger than Mike Tomlin, another very intense individual that played here at the same time. So that's what you want to look for. We talk about quarterback rotations and game plan, but that intensity to win, if it's a tie game late, he wants to win by a field goal and cover that too. So it makes a lot of sense that he has a good record so far at Buffalo. By the way, the Bills, interesting team to keep an eye on, obviously. A lot of off-field distractions so far in the offseason. Teddy and I, of course, with Gabe Morency on Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 204 on Thursday and Friday nights at midnight Eastern. And this next guy, Dave Sharapan, occasionally does some work with Gabe as well. And we all know Gabe is a huge Bills fan. And the question is, will he be an Austin, Texas Bills fan when they move down there? Those are the rumblings. Don't think that's happening, though, anytime in the near future. But, yeah, a lot of turmoil in Buffalo. Be an interesting team to keep an eye on, especially during the preseason. Dave Sharapan, my man, the Phillies hat. I like it. They're in first place. You rocking the lid. You got the Rocky-style workout towel. All Philly today, Dave.
Yeah. I just had to run back home. We had a little mishap. I had to run home because I thought I was coming on with Prez. And, he talks about working out all the time and stuff. So I'm soaking wet. I'm sweating. I'm trying to dry myself. I figured he was here flexing and I get to come on and see you and Teddy. I can breathe. I can take the towel off a little bit. If I have to wipe my face, it's fine. But I'm very happy to see both of you. I mean, yes, I do the stuff with Morency too, but, I'm looking forward to this all morning. What's up, boys?
Well, so I'll tell you, I didn't want to tell you that Prez wasn't on because I figured maybe a no-show, so I'm like, well, let it be a secret when you log in, because I know you and Prez are like this. You guys are buddy-buddy, so.
If you'd have told me that Prez wasn't going to be on, I would have done double segments. I mean, it's a 2-game parlay. If the Prez isn't here, you get me for 2. You get me for 2. So
that's an upsell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just letting you know. That's the way it goes. Now, we can't talk about Prez when he ain't here because we talk about him right to his face, too. So.
Hey, Teddy, before we jump in, Teddy, speaking of Morency, by the way, he defended me on the whole diving thing, as you would expect him, because Gabe bets on every Olympic sport, as you know. But he also said that Dave Sharapan and I literally talked about the marathon for like 20 minutes live a couple days ago. Dave, is that correct on your in-game live? So you thought I was bad watching 5 minutes of Chinese diving, Teddy. This guy next to you talked about the marathon in-game betting for like 20 minutes, apparently.
So I got the call up. Cam had to take a couple days to take care of some personal business. So they said, you got to do 3 hours with Morency on the TV. Okay. I mean, sometimes when you get the call, you get the call. So we come on, and Gabe was so intense. Listen, people have asked me about like Olympic betting and how much goes on and all this stuff. It ain't that much unless you're crazy, which Morency is. He bet on every event as it went. He was betting it right before. He was staying up all night on the West Coast. You got to take a nap to get up and watch the stuff in the middle of the night. He was doing it. So we do the show, and he hits me right out of the commercial. The women's marathon is on. It's coming on. We got to bet it. I'm like, what are you talking? How do you even know? He said, just bet on the girls from Kenya. They run in Kenya. They're really good at it, and they're the 2 favorites. So we put the bet in. Well, you know how long a marathon takes, 2 hours and 15 minutes approximately. So that was at the beginning of the first 3 hours. So we got to sweat the last bit of it. And I'll tell you what, boys, it didn't go so well for his bet. The girl opened up in front of her, and we got to sit and watch the silver medal be won by the woman that he bet on. He was not happy about it at all. But it was actually a pretty good watch. I was just sitting there like, Gabe, she's opening up. This isn't looking good. He's like, I know. And it was pretty entertaining.
So my brother runs triathlons, all right, which is where you're swimming and then you're biking and then you're running the marathon at the end of it. And if you're going to tell me that any part, so I've watched marathons live. If you're going to tell me that any part of a marathon is interesting, no part of a marathon is interesting, dude.
You bet on it. The key is when you bet on it. You got to
even
bet on
if
your
you bet on
triathlon.
it, it's not. You're like, unless your runner is down the stretch. I can't buy that one. Of course, we're talking with Dave Sharapan, veteran Las Vegas odds maker at SportsBK Consig on Twitter. An excellent follow on Twitter. His threads are surely worthwhile. And Dave, I want to talk NFL preseason with you as a concept from the bookmaker perspective. All right. The people that don't bet say, oh my God, degenerate. We're talking about Morency, who's the ultimate degenerate bettor. On this show, we like to talk about positive expectation wagers. All right. We like to talk about giving yourself a chance to win over the long term. What are the strategies you've seen from bettors that actually beat the NFL preseason? What do they do?
Most of them play totals, Teddy. First and foremost, they stick to the totals, or they do exactly what you said, the big game breakdown, and they don't lay points. They play the money line. Less than 2 or 2.5 even, just they play the money line because the actual 1 and 2 come into play in the preseason more than they ever do in the regular season. Although with the integration of more teams going for 2, then, you might see it. But at the same time, I think, like the blueprint used to always be, right? The first week, both sides of the counter kind of guessing. Second week, that's a wise guy week. I mean, like that when you see the line moves, those are plays. Those are legitimate information plays. Those are guys that are knowing which quarterbacks rotation's going to be. I mean, that's the most important thing. Ralph talks about that all the time as well. Week 3 used to be the real week. Like the starters, everybody played the first half. Everybody got their reps. And then what the pros did, and anyone that was successful with this, they took week 4 off. Nobody bet week 4 in the preseason ever. That was the week to get ready for college and wait until week 1 because nobody knows who's playing. And if they tell you they do, they're lying.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, Dave, because over the last decade, I'd say I've averaged 0.25 plays on week 4, which means I probably have had one every 4 years in the week 4s of the NFL preseason. And what's interesting this year, guys, is that there's only 3 weeks of preseason, 3 games, but there's still that week 4. It's just dark, and they still start the NFL regular season on the 9th. So it's just an extra week of no preseason games, which is basically how it's been for me always, at least. Before we move to baseball, Dave, I do want to get your thoughts on those Phillies and these other divisional races, but close out the NFL preseason. Teddy and I have been doing this since the 1990s as full-time professional bettors and handicappers. You've been around for a while as also in the sportsbook industry. How have you seen things change 5 or 10 years, over the last 5 or 10 years with the preseason. Obviously, it's not about getting the information anymore. I think most of it's readily available. In the 90s, it was about finding the information. Have you seen guys change their handicapping approach? I know you talk about it's still about rotations and motivation. And also, have you seen less sharp action over the last 5 or 10 years with that information widely available? And how does the handle compare overall to like a regular season, baseball game on that same night?
Well, I'll tell you what, like the Hall of Fame game was exciting as far as like a lot of the books. I mean, they were taking bets. There was, it's football, it's back. And what I've seen in the last couple of years is that the interest has waned in the preseason. It's just the numbers are better. Like you look at the totals of week 1 here. Every total is 35, 36, or 37. Every spread except one is 1.5, 2, 2.5, or even a 3. I mean, like they're all floating right around the same numbers. So I think just in general, people, I don't know if they're just not, I don't want to say not interested because it's football and they are, but I think interest has waned. And now, like last season, it was dead. I mean, there was no preseason. And I think people didn't miss it. So now I'm interested to see a lot of the guys like, they're not really doing any business right now. Like I was just down at the Circa and the Westgate yesterday. I did a little tour, met somebody in town, and I was like, how's it been? And they're like, it's dead. It's literally dead. So this will be interesting because like everybody, we're all learning, right? It's 3 weeks instead of 4. What's the blueprint going to be? Who's trying? Do you just consistently still bet the Ravens because Harbaugh always
It's quiet. Are the wise guys looking at anything in early week preseason betting action?
Not anyone that I talk to. I can tell you that. They're still recovering from betting baseball, Teddy. The only people betting baseball are losing right now are the wise guys. They're getting destroyed taking the dogs. And I think a lot of people are going, yeah, I don't really see anything. I think what you're seeing also is they're not showing their hand because a lot of people are just copying numbers. So you're seeing a lot of I think you're going to see it Thursday for the Thursday games. I think you're going to see it Friday for the Friday games. And then on Friday, I'll be interested to see with the full slate on Saturday for the most part, if you start to see lines, moves, and people play. But Teddy, a lot of people are lowered their limits. I mean, I'm not calling books out, but ain't nobody want to take a bet on the preseason either. Like you used to be able to bet 5 dimes on the side, a dime or 2 on a total. A lot of books are like, you know what? A dime, maybe 2 on the side, and a nickel on a total. What's going on right now?
Yeah, that's crazy, Dave. And I mean, once again, why would you take high limits if you're skittish on it? The recreational players aren't playing over those limits for the most part, So it's like They just don't want the sharp action. I don't thoroughly disagree. I wouldn't want my action or Teddy Cover's action either if I was a sports book. Dave, I'm gonna give you an open-ended Prez style question because I know you missed the Prez. So, MLB baseball, talk to me.
I don't want any drama. If he goes back and watches this, and
he doesn't watch
it, he's going to be upset. So, listen, Dodgers Phillies is the series of the week, right? We got to pay attention to that. We get Scherzer for the Dodgers. The price is coming down. I think it's a square or public versus wise guy game. The public's going to be on the Dodgers. The sharps, the wise guys are all going to have the Phillies, whether it wins or not. Scherzer owns them career-wise. I think the Dodgers is the side. But we'll see how that goes. Wilson tomorrow, Phillies win tomorrow, and we'll see how the series goes. This is good day, good team versus bad team day, right? I mean, go through the lines. The lines keep getting higher every day. A $2 favorite is the norm. It used to be the exception. But, look at Oakland. Oakland's playing Cleveland. I feel like the price is a little short. Oakland's one of those teams, pretty good. Kansas City's probably a live dog today after yesterday. That ridiculous game. It was 0-0 after 6, and it went over 10. It's almost impossible the way it happened. But they blew out the bullpens, and today's a bullpen day for the Yankees. They got Cortez starting. So I like Kansas City a little bit there. And then, I don't know, put together something with maybe a couple totals. I mean, Detroit seems too easy, a short price. I mean, against Baltimore, a team that's been done for months. Those are the 3 games I kind of circled and looked at. And the rest of them, I'm trying to find a dog that's going to win. I mean, there's 15 games a day that favorites go 13-2, 12-3. Maybe parlay a couple favorites and go from there.
Well, yeah, Dave, you talked about how the wise guys are looking in August at playing some of the dogs, and it's like handicapping MLB. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. August is the time of year where the favorites destroy the dogs. It happens every year, and that's why you get $2 and $2.50 and $3 and $3.50 and $4 favorites specifically this month. Why would the sharp money be looking to take value with teams that aren't winning?
Oh, they're programmed to take value, Teddy. I mean, they bet over 31.5 in a preseason game, Hall of Fame game, because, there was value on it. They were dead in the water. I mean, I went on a show and said I would put the number 31 and take all the over money I could get because the value's on, there's value on it. How much value is it when it loses? I mean, there are a lot of sharp people that just look at the numbers. So when you got a game that's 260, all you need to do is move it to 270, and one of the sharpest guys in the world will come in and take it because it got value. And then they lose 11-1, and they tell you they got a good number. So it's all over the place. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, you're right. August is the month for favorites, and September is the month for dogs. You can wait until September. Bet every dog every day in September, and then they'll thank you. They'll thank Steve and me. They might even thank Prez at the end of September for that.
Yeah, what's interesting about September, I was going to bring that up, is that you do get a lot of the call-ups, the expanded roster, and for these nothing teams, those young AAA guys, they're playing pretty damn hard. And so that's why August is not the dog month. September is the dog month. Plus the big favorites sometimes take their foot off the gas heading into the preseason. So, yeah, these dogs will start cashing, but as you said, it hasn't happened right now. Dave Sharapan, SportsBK Consig. That's the exact spelling for his Twitter handle, and it is a good one. SportsBK Consig. Dave, on the way out, what else you got going on? Anything else you want to promote? I know, like you said, a lot of Sirius XM Channel 204. Get on the grid.
Oh, yeah, we're doing that every day. We're back to the regular schedule this week, 4 to 7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern. Various shows I do with Morency and Stewart, and then Kevin and Donnie at 5, and Dane and Scott at 6. Every week, we record a Cash Considerations podcast. It's at Cash Consid Show on Twitter. We bring in a guest. Working on booking you guys for the show. You two are very busy, and we're trying to, your people, our people, we'll get that squared away. And then we got some other appearances. We're gonna be on MLB Network a little bit. We're gonna be on some other things, and we're getting things ironed out for football, boys. So we got a lot of stuff happening, a lot of good things.
That's awesome, Dave. I'm looking forward to that MLB. I didn't know about that. I love MLB Network. I think they do the best job of any of the sports networks.
It's amazing.
Actionable info, entertaining, everything about it's just a fantastic channel. I know you've got a big softball background. I'm quickly acquiring a baseball background in my life.
Yes.
And, MLB Network is required viewing all summer long, and I know Teddy watches it as well. By the way, our people, Teddy, my people, we all got the same people, so contact any of them. We'll make it happen. And once again, Dave is found nightly on Sirius XM Channel 204, Sports Grid TV. And then Teddy and myself with the aforementioned Gabe Morency on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. Will get one of us at midnight Eastern, an occasional Tony Finn sighting as well. Dave, thanks for joining us. SportsBK Consig on Twitter. We will talk to you soon.
Excellent work, boys.
You might
thank you for having me.
To be determined. Hey, Teddy, thank you, Teddy, for allowing me to sit in with you once again. I will be back on Thursday filling in for the Prez right here. Prez will be back tomorrow on Wednesday, then me Thursday, then Prez Friday. We're alternating. You see the pattern. It's a bettable pattern. And it was a great show today. Once again, Rob Veno is the $2 capper at WagerTalk.com on a mere 50-28 baseball run. And JM Sports on a mere 13-0 perfect MLB hot streak at SportsMemo.com. Once again, JM Sports, $2 at SportsMemo.com. Rob Veno, $2 at WagerTalk.com. Top baseball best bets from each for $2 Tuesday. Teddy, thanks for having me on. I'll be back with you on Thursday. Close this out, my man.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with Steve and I and Rob Veno and Dave Sharapan. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you. Back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
What's so special at WagerTalk that only happens twice per year? It's the WagerTalk $199 30-day all-access special. Why is this $199 special even bigger? This $199 special starts Sunday, August 15th throughout Monday, September 13th. But by signing up now, you'll receive every play through Sunday, August 15th as a free bonus. Does this $199 package include football? Yes, of course it does. As with every all-access package, you receive every play that your favorite capper releases. That includes the NFL preseason, college football through week 2, NFL week 1, MLB action, plus any CFL, KBO, soccer, UFC, or golf that your favorite handicapper releases. Every play, every sport, all for 30 days and all for just $199. If you have never tried a 30-day all-access package at under $7 per day, including football, what are you waiting for?